Elden Ring is a timeless game and a personal favorite of all time. It has 411 unique weapons, and we're doing a challenge run to beat the base game with every single one of them. For each run, I'll be breaking down the best starting class, which weapon, which stats to upgrade, and in what order. Are there any key stats, numbers that we should be aiming for? Do we need 20 endurance, 15, etc.? Should we run the weapon dual-wielded or two-handed? How does the weapon perform versus the 14 required bosses in the game? And lastly, we'll be ending with a tier list where we'll be ranking as we go S tier to broken straight sword tier, where each individual weapon ranks on that tier list. Today's weapon is the Uchigatana, and it was requested by my old friend, the Airlock Titan. So without further ado, let's get into the starting class. The Uchigatana is the starting weapon for the Samurai, and the Samurai starting stat spread is a template for what stats you should upgrade in order to maximize your Uchigatana. Now, the Samurai class brings you in at level 9 with 12 points into health, 11 points into mind, 13 points into endurance, 12 points on your strength, 15 points to dexterity, 9 points to intelligence, 8 points to faith, and 8 points to arcane. This stat spread lets us wield our Uchigatana without any mandatory upgrades. So right from the jump, we're going to have the required 11 strength and 15 dexterity that it takes to wield this weapon. When leveling this class, I'd recommend you first focus on bringing your vigor up to 30 for survivability, and I would recommend you at least get your endurance up to 15 if you run armorless, or if you're running medium armor, closer to around 20. Bring the dexterity up from there all the way up to 30, since dexterity is going to be your main way to dish out damage with this weapon. After that, I would shift the focus back over to your health, bringing that up to 50 for late game survivability, and once you hit that point, I would dump any remaining points into dexterity to really maximize your damage for the late game. The Uchigatana is unique in that 1, it has natural bleed, and 2, it's possible to get 2 Uchigatanas before the first boss in every single run if you start with the Samurai as we did. Now, contrary to popular belief, weapons with natural bleed thrive when imbuing them with secondary status conditions like frost or poison, since they're going to be able to proc more than one status over the course of the boss fights. So, throughout this run, we imbued our dual Uchigatanas with frost for most bosses, and we would occasionally switch it up to poison and bleed for some of the bosses like the fire giant, who is very resistant to getting the frost status. So, for the talismans, we went with the green turtle talisman for the stamina recovery. We went with Millicent's prostate for consecutive weapon damage. The wing sword insignia for further consecutive attack damage, and the Dragon Crest Great Shield for more defense. Now, the Flask of Wanderer's sidekick, we went with the Green Burst Crystal tier to stack with that turtle in order to greatly boost our stamina recovery, and we went with the Torny Cracks tier to stack with our Millicent's prostate and our winged insignia to really crank up the consecutive damage to different levels. Now, I would add that for New Game Plus runs, I would replace the winged insignia with the Rotten Winged insignia, since you can get that starting in New Game Plus. Obviously, if you before you get to the points to get to the Dragon Crest Great Shield, I would just use that last talisman for, some kind of defensive talisman, whether it's a lesser Dragon Crest variant or one of the elemental, depending on the bosses you're fighting, right? So this build, it really does focus on spamming those dual light attacks to cross the proc and eventually the bleed on most of the bosses, using the benefits of that stamina recovery in order to quickly dodge and punish using your LB button, getting off those dual attacks, multiplying your damage, multiplying your ability to proc status, and overall the Uchigatana, while it is great single or dual wielded, but for optimal DPS, I would recommend dual building with this stack and this status setup as we did here. Since you can technically upgrade your Uchigatanas to plus 12 before you do the Margit fight, it's not too hard. Now, we did start off this run with a slightly different build using only one Uchigatana before eventually getting the second Uchigatana and developing the build that we beat most of the game with, bosses 4 through 11. So throughout this guide, I will be recommending the setup as if you're going for the final build, not the one in the footage below, but it's still good gameplay to recognize different ways that you could utilize your Uchigatana. Since before Margit, you only have one talisman slot. Really, the one I recommend is just grab that green turtle talisman for the stamina recovery before it. And then if you want, you can go ahead and grab that second Uchigatana, upgrade both of them to +6, and then just use that stamina recovery benefit to dodge all his attacks and do the roll tap attacks stacked up with those light attacks to get some consecutive hits on him, proc that bleed. Using this build, the fight's not going to be too difficult. Even with new players, you should expect to get the W within 1 to 5 tries. The overall rating of the difficulty of the Margit fight with the Uchigatana and this setup is about a 3 on 10 difficulty. Now, after the Margit, you do get your second talisman slots, and what I recommend is going ahead and grabbing that Winged Insignia talisman and equip that alongside your green turtle talisman. That way, with your two Uchigatanas, as you spam those dual attacks, you can start getting a bonus for consecutive damage. Just keeping our Uchigatanas at +6 on this fight. We will one try Godrick the Weasel. He's the easiest fight in the run for sure. The difficulty with the Uchigatana is only a 1 out of 10. When we get to this boss, the Red Wolf, he's a glass cannon. It's a very malleable boss, so for that reason, he can be among one of the harder bosses in this challenge run with the Uchigatana. In the run, at this point, our weapons aren't really that upgraded. Our build isn't really that hard, so you really want to focus on staying patient, dodging, and eventually building up that blood proc status as you're sneaking in that dual attack whenever there's an open window. Now, using that strategy, I was able to first try this boss, but it was definitely one of the more challenging bosses thus far, considering all the movement that he made and all the pressure that we had to keep up. Difficulty rating with the Uchigatana, a 7 on 10. Now, before we fight the Moon Queen, we are able to pick up the Magic Weight Plate, and that's going to allow us to add Frost to our weapon. So it was at this point in the run where we switched from the single Uchigatana with Unshelf to the dual Uchigatanas with Frost or Poison alongside its natural bleed status buildup. And that's the build that we've been kind of pulling along throughout the course of this run, and that's what you're going to see from here on out. Right then, so after you add Frost to the weapons, head upstairs, challenge the Moon Queen. During phase 1, as soon as she falls down, go ahead and start wailing on her. If you have the build set up on how we've recommended so far with the Green Turtle Talisman and with the other consecutive hit, the Winged Insignia, you should be able to knock her out after knocking her out of the sky 2 different times. Now, second phase is a lot more challenging. I found the most success eventually approaching her with a jump attack and then following up that jump attack with the dual weapon attacks in order to try to stun lock her. Now, stay patient when finding your windows to engage. She will run away like a coward, and she will do that very often. Now, this fight, it did take a couple of attempts due to trying to find that window of the jumping and the punishing to get her in the stun locked. So the difficulty with the Uchigatana, not too hard once we found that. Overall rating, 6 on 10 difficulty. This is the first truly challenging boss in Elden Ring for those new players, the Draconic Tree Sentinel. But luckily with our build and the free hits that this boss gives you that are kind of programmed into the fight, we're going to be in a good position to make short work of them. Now, since this fight does take place in the Atlas Plateau, most players will have access to their third talisman slot before doing this fight. So go ahead, get that third talisman pouch, and look up online how to do Millicent's questline in order to get Millicent's prosthesis. That talisman is going to stack with the Winged Insignia talisman to really do a lot of consecutive damage, which is going to be a great help in this fight. Now, as soon as the fight starts, you're going to rush the Tree Sentinel, hop off your horse when you get close enough to hit it with a jump attack as you dismount. Once you land, you're going to be able to spam 3, maybe 4 light attacks as the Sentinel goes through a sort of standstill animation to start the fight. Now, sometimes you can potentially proc a Frost, proc a Bleed right from the start, and it's great. From there on out, be patient. Try to stay on the shield side, sneaking in hits with those dual Uchigatanas after dodges to constantly build up status. This is the other brilliant part to this fight. Once that Sentinel gets down to around half health, it is once again going to stand completely still, raise its weapon up, and imbue with lightning. While it's doing this, you are once again going to be able to take advantage and get in several free hits, potentially proccing another status, potentially proccing 2 with the bleed and the frost. Take advantage from there on out of those dual attacks to proc those status for the easy W. The difficulty with this build with the Uchigatanas, only a 4 on 10. The Ghost of Godfrey is one of the 3 mandatory bosses not affected by status, the other being Radagon and the Elden Beast. Additionally, he's a very fast and melee boss, and he's programmed to punish your heals with a long-reaching axe swing as soon as you try to drink a glass of French cheers. So, keep your talisman set up as is, and focus on punishing with multiple hits when this animation happens, when this sequence happens. The Ghost of Godfrey will jump away from you, and he's going to start engaging his stomp attack. Jump over the rocks that come up from the ground as he stomps for a free jumping hit with both of your Uchigatanas. As you land, you want to immediately dodge because he's going to be instantly punishing an overhead axe swing. After you dodge, you're going to be able to get in 1 and sometimes 2 hits with your dual Uchigatanas, depending on what that follow-up attack is after that. So just stay on his left hip or right as you're looking at him, stay out of corners, and you will get the W. That said, it is a difficult fight. Overall, with the 2 Uchigatanas, I would rate the difficulty a 7 on 10, being that he doesn't get affected by status, and it's a very mobile type of boss that will punish you. Although we get access to our 4th talisman slot after Ghost Godfrey, we don't have the area of the game unlocked with the Dragon Crest Great Shield. So for this boss fight, just equip your best defensive talisman, maybe a physical or a holy one since those are his primary damage. So Margit, the Omen King, is another boss like the Dramatic Tree Sentinel with pre-programmed punish windows, and taking advantage of that is the best way to beat the fight. That first window is typically when he drops his holy sword. You want to play aggressive. As he starts his animation, run in, hit him. Depending on how far you are, you can get in 2, sometimes up to 4 hits with both of your weapons. As he does the animation, a lot of times proccing frost or bleed. Now, the second punishing window is when he's transitioning to second phase. When you see the Omen King drop to his knee and start coughing, if you're close enough, you can again rush him for 3 to 4 free hits. Although his AoE attack is going to be a follow-up, you want to get out of there. He's not going to be taking a lot of damage because he has reduced damage during that transition. However, his status buildup is still being affected. So it is definitely worth getting in those hits, because then when he starts rushing you after his transition is complete, a lot of times you can proc a stagger or a blood proc or a frost block and end the fight. Be patient, target those 2 punish windows, and this boss is going to go down easily. Difficulty with the Uchigatana, only a 3 on 10. Now that we have access to the Fire Giant, we also have access to the rest of the build. So go ahead, grab the Dragon Crest Great Shield Talisman, the Tourney Cracked Tier, and if you haven't gotten it already, go to Khaled and get that Green Burst Crystal Teal. Go ahead, replace whatever you had in your Psychic Flask before. This is going to be far superior to help you with damage and keep you in the fight with your stamina recovery. That said, your talismans now look like this. The Green Turtle Talisman for stamina recovery, your Winged Insignia and Millicent's Prosthesis for consecutive damage, and then the Dragon Crest Great Shield for physical damage negation. 3 of those talismans are going to stack with a Psychic Flask to give us incredible stamina recovery and consecutive hit damage. With all that done, we're now ready for the Fire Giant. The Fire Giant is very resistant to frost, so for this fight, I recommend either you go straight bleed on the Uchigatanas or add Poison Ashes of War. So as he's rolling around in second phase, he's taking poison damage over time with the occasional bird proc. Charge him right when the fight starts on her, and you want to jump off as he starts his animation to shovel snow at you. As soon as you hop off, as he's starting the animation, snow will appear on the ground. As soon as you see snow on the ground, roll forward through the snow and then pop your Psychic Flask for that extra consecutive damage and that additional stamina recovery. That's going to help you maximize that flask. So during phase 1, we're going to focus on his left leg, right as we're looking at him. On that Achilles, using dual attacks to build up those status conditions and consecutive hits to build up the damage. Continue dual attacking him as he gets his bandage broken. And when he does, he'll create an animation where he stops, drops down, grabs his ankle. You can attack him again for another 3 to 5 free hits during that. Dodges roll, charge him again on horseback, hop off, and again start using those dual attacks until he gets to about half its health, and then we're going to start in phase 2. At the start of phase 2, he's going to immediately bring his hands down, charge him, find where one of his hands are going to go, and immediately, again, you're able to get in 3 to 4 free hits. A lot of times this can proc poison right when phase 2 starts, which is great. For the rest of the fight, you have 2 choices. You can play aggressive by standing in front of him, dodging his hands, and attacking him for more damage, or you can do what I prefer and take him from behind. Pause. It's a bit safer, and you can, as he rolls, charge him on horseback. When you're taking him from behind, it's what I prefer with bleed weapons because that bleed proc will eventually happen. It'll take a percentage of his health. So even though you do less health, you're still going to be getting those blood procs, and it's a bit safer so you don't have to do the whole fight again. Patience is going to be key with this fight. Stick to your windows of guaranteed hits, and the fight won't be as difficult as it is with non-bleed weapons as the Uchigatana, because whenever that blood procs, you're going to get a big chunk of his health down. Difficulty of the Fire Giant fight with the Uchigatana, 6 on 10. A lot of people will tell you to spam sleeping potions for the Godskin Duo to create one-on-one fights. But if you want the satisfaction of beating them honorably, or if you're just too lazy to craft sleeping potions like I am, this footage will give you an idea of how to do it. Once you hit either Godskin, every time they respawn, that Godskin, until his health bar gets to 0 and he respawns again, will pursue you far more aggressively while he remains alive. For that reason, I always recommend fighting one Godskin at a time so you don't have both of them in super aggro mode chasing you down. So I usually recommend focusing on the round one to start because he's naturally the more aggressive of the two. And when you're fighting him, when it's a 2-on-1, you have to be very patient. Get in your windows when he does his heavy slam attack, when he does his fireballs, when the other skinny or Godskin Duo is on the other side of a pillar, roll forward, punish for 1 to 2 hits, and then wait until you start getting to phase 2 when he gets to about half health, where if you time it right, you can really punish him for a big 2 to 4 hits. So once that is down, then you have an opportunity to have a one-on-one with the skinnier Godskin. Now, what I like to do is only hit attacks when I have a guaranteed window when it's a one-on-one fight, because I know the Godskin will eventually use its bell to summon back the round one, and that is our opportunity to really pounce on him and get him to second phase, where again he'll create a new animation where he levitates up into the air and transitions, where oftentimes we can finish him off before he gets a single attack. So, to summarize, once you're in a one-on-one fight with the skinny one and the round one goes down, mostly dodge, lure him to the far side of the arena where the round one will go down, and only do hits on guaranteed windows, such as when he throws a fireball at you. As soon as he pulls that bell out, start wailing on him, get that status proc with your dual Uchikatanas. After that status proc, he will almost assuredly start his second phase transition, where again, if you keep spamming him, oftentimes you can take him out before the round one even gets over to the other side of the arena. Once again, giving you a one-on-one fight, this time with the round Godskin. So rinse and repeat with the one-on-ones here. Only punish the free windows such as the fireball or the heavy slam. And when he brings out the ability to bring the skinny Godskin, wail on him till he gets around half hit and starts his second phase. Again, when he starts his transition, if you stay aggressive on the round one, you can take him out before the skinny one even gets over there. More times than not, that's enough to end the fight. But if you need to do it one more time with the one-on-one skinny Godskin, keep wailing on him until he pulls out that belt and then finish off the fight from there. So that being said, the first part of the fight is really hard. You have to be patient and learn how to position the skinny Godskin on the other side of the pillars while you punish the round one. So without sleeping potions, the difficulty of the Uchigatana, it's still pretty hard even with these tips. I would say it's about an 8 on 10. Of course, if you just use sleeping potions, it's a 1 on 10 difficulty, but then you have no honor. So do it this way, give it a go, and let me know if it works for you. Malkeith is always a tough boss in every run. His first phase is very challenging for new players to get down, and his second phase is tough no matter what. Since our dual Uchikatanas rely on consecutive hits on punish windows and small or quick dual strikes during attack chains, let's focus on identifying the punish windows in this fight. Now, in phase 1, when he does his left-right, followed by a third swipe, sometimes an alternate fourth, and then a final ground slam, there's a punish window for 2 of our free dual attacks after he slams the ground. Now, after his knife is in the ground and he starts twisting towards you, there's a second punish window there where you dodge through it and you can again get in 2 free dual attacks and a punish window. Now, the third window is a bit risky, but sometimes you got to risk it for the biscuit. The closer you are to Malkeith for this one, the better. As soon as he slams into the ground and you see pieces of the ground break off, you can start attacking him. He's going to rise the ground up and then drop the ground down, which will damage you if you're underneath where the ground is. As long as you're aggressive, you can hit him for 2 to 3, sometimes as much as 4 attacks in that span. Stick to the windows, be patient, dodge to the strikes, and you're going to be able to make it until second phase. Now, once phase 2 starts, here's what you need to do. Bring your character 3 steps to the right and 2 steps back. If done correctly, you will trigger Malkeith to do a long swiping horizontal strike, followed by an overhead strike down. And if you time your dodge correctly, like we did in the video below, you can dodge through that horizontal strike and get 3 to sometimes as many 5 free hits with your dual attacks to start second phase. Oftentimes when you do this, you're going to get a proc. I've even gotten him staggered for a free critical hit right when second phase start. And sometimes you're able to finish that fight immediately, depending on the status buildup at the end of phase 1. Now, if it doesn't take him out after that initial punish right when phase 2 starts, you want to just be patient and just focusing on dodging all of his mobile attacks when he throws red rings across distant death and the rest of it. Focus on dodging him and wait till he does his regular sword stripes, dodge through them, and punish him with 1, sometimes 2 hits to finish him off. He's always a tough boss, and the timing is tough to get down. Watch the video below to see the best ways to utilize it. And if you follow these tips with the build that you're using, the difficulty with the Uchigatanas with Malkeith is still a 9 on 10 difficult. Gideon was by far the hardest fight in this entire run. Beating him took over 15 attempts with all of his magic spam. And since our build on getting in close and getting in those consecutive hits, it's a mismatch fight from the start. Before you enter, go ahead, replace that Dragon Crest shield with whatever your best magic resistance talisman is. You're going to need it. He doesn't have physical moves, but he's got a lot of magic. Fight smart. If you just go in spamming your dual attacks, all he'll do is roll away from you and punish you with a ranged attack. Now, after a few attempts, I had the best success waiting on a window to do a dual jump attack with the Uchigatana and then follow that up immediately with a dual attack, walking to wherever he rolls to, and then clicking another dual attack. I'd hit quickly, I'd get out before he did another magic attack. Due to the build, the short range overall of the Uchigatana, and this boss's evasion and range attacks, by far, hardest spots of the run with Uchigatana in the Elden Ring base game. Difficulty with the Uchigatana, a full 10 on 10. Gideon the all-knowing turned it around on us. I found this Godfrey fight much easier than his Ghost fight because we're able to proc our status with our consecutive hits build. Now, in phase 1, we're going to fight exactly as we fought the Ghost of Godfrey. Jump over his rock stomp towards him and get a free jump attack as you're landing, followed immediately by a quick roll for his overhead punish. Right after that roll, you can get 1, sometimes 2 attacks, depending on his follow-up. Stay on his left hip, right as you're looking at him, and you will get to the cutscene to start phase 2 when he gets around half health. Now, once phase 2 starts, he's going to immediately charge you and attempt to grab. Dodge through it and punish him with a free 3 hits. Sometimes he can even get off 4. If you time it correctly, it's going to proc a status, and it's going to trigger a guaranteed punish window where Godfrey will drop to his knees, pick up his arms, and slam the ground twice. During this animation, you can heavily punish, rolling through the first slam, one quick punish and then roll to the second slam, followed by 2 and sometimes as much as 4 punishes after that second, depending on the follow-up attack. Now, after the second slam, if you manage your stamina correctly, he's going to be finished off or almost finished off. As long as you play safely from there, if that didn't do the trick, he should be 1 or 2 hits away. So overall, the fights of Godfrey with the dual Uchigatanas, difficulty rating only 6 on 10. Although Radagon is not affected by our status buildup, he is affected by a damage from our consecutive hit build. Because of this, I recommend fighting him with the Keen ability on both of your Uchigatanas, and on the one in your character's right hand, make sure that Ash of War Unsheath is equipped. That's going to hate the sight with the Elden Beast for it. So pop your flask of Psychic right as you enter the arena and immediately charge Radagon. He will stand there foolishly and let you get a free 3 to sometimes 4 hits, which will, with our build, prompt him to get to the 75% health range. Now, at this point, you'll notice that he always is programmed to slowly rise his foot up, stomp into the ground, fly into the air, and bring his hammer down on the ground. So because we know that's coming, we can plan for it with a free punish window. So as soon as you see his foot rising, jump towards him. As you jump, you will jump over the damage from the stomp, and while you're in the air, hit him with a jump attack from your Uchigatanas. He will immediately launch into the air, watch him in the air, and roll towards him as soon as you see him start to drop. This will dodge the impact from his hammer, and it will free you up to hit him with 2, sometimes as much as 3 dual strike attacks, really building up his health. Now, if you pull it off just right, oftentimes he will start his next guaranteed animation where he slams his hammer down twice quickly, followed by a slow third time down, and then a long recovery after. Now, if he doesn't get to that point, no worries. Play patiently, just like you were at the start of the fight, and wait till he gets there. As soon as he teleports away, you want to charge him, and as he starts that first hammer swing, roll into him as he hits the ground and hit him with a roll attack. Quickly roll again on the second slam. Now the third long slam, as he's charging it, start slowly walking around him, dodge right before he hits the ground, and then punish Radagon with a 3, 4, sometimes as much as 5 hits as he recovers. Now with our consecutive hit build, 5 hits with 2 weapons, sometimes will immediately end the fight. At the very least, he'll be down to very low health. Whether the fight ends or whether he's at low health, play smart till the end of the fight, punish on guaranteed windows, and we'll be on to the Elden Beast in no time. Difficulty with the Uchigatana for this Elden Lord is going to be about a 7 on a 10 because the timing is tough to figure out, but once you script it, it's easy money. At the start of the Elden Beast fight, sprint behind him and attack his tail as he blaze fires to build up that consecutive hit damage. If done correctly, the Elden Beast should have enough damage to where he will retreat and do his first ring around the rosy attack. Now, when the Elden Beast starts spinning, with your character, do a 180 facing behind you and start running straight ahead. After you jump the ring, keep running straight ahead and the Elden Beast will appear right in front of you, ready to start wailing on him. Now, at this point, he's such a mobile enemy, we want on that Unsheathed Ash of War to make him nice and still by staggering him. So after his ring around the rosy attack, when you run to him, start spamming your Ash of War on him whenever windows you get until you stagger the beast. The Elden Beast has an extremely long recovery once he's been staggered, and this is where we're going to be able to really put on a lot of damage with our consecutive hit build. Instead of going for the critical strike immediately, hits in 5. Sometimes if you're close enough, you can do a full 6 attacks with both Uchigatanas before doing that critical strike. After he collapses, you can even get another 2. This will all but guarantee that the Elden Beast is in range for his triple ring around the rosy attack. Same tech with that. As soon as he goes into the air and starts spinning, 180 your characters start running straight. This time we're going to jump 1, 2, 3 rings, keep running straight. The beast will be right in front of us. And once again, start spamming that Unsheathed Ash of War. Now, just like you see in the clip, oftentimes we'll be able to stagger him before or sometimes right after the Elden Star's attack goes off. And when the Elden Beast collapses, his body will absorb most of that damage. It'll hit him and not hit you. So when you're down there, you can hit him with a critical strike and get a lot of damage in him. It's great, and it's the best way, in my opinion, to get past those Elden stars. So if you follow that, he should be almost dead. If not, you might need a couple more hits at low health. Just play smart at the end of that. You should either have the W or be close to it. And overall, with the two Uchigatana's and utilizing this strategy, the Elden Beast, one of the easier fights in this challenge run, at an only 5 of 10 difficulty with the Uchigatana. Exactly a mathematician, but if you take each of those difficulty ratings on a scale of 1 to 10 to each of the 14 mandatory bosses, divide them by 14, you end up with a difficulty rating scale of 5.85 on 10, making the Uchigatana an overall outstanding choice to become the Elden Lord with. Additionally, it's a very versatile weapon, allowing you to tailor it for certain boss fights with different statuses, different talismans, to fit your each individual and unique playstyles. The Uchigatana's strength is that it's so versatile. Also makes it a bit of a weakness. It's one of those jack of all trade, master of none type of weapons. It's not going to dish out the highest DPS. It's not going to deal out the biggest posture damage, and it won't even proc statuses the fastest. But rather, the weapon is pretty good at all of those, and it can be better or worse into one of those categories, depending on how you make your build. For example, in our run, we focus on using dual Uchigatanas, one in each arm, to use frost, to use poison. Another type of build that you could do with the Uchigatana is, instead of using 2, you could use 1 and two-hand it. Stack that with something like the Shard of Alexander, Rennala's cameo, even the two-handed talisman. All that could work together to really bring a very strong posture damage weapon when stacked with the Unsheathed Ash Award to new heights. There's countless ways to run the Uchigatana, but because it doesn't specialize in any one area, it's not going to be an S tier weapon, but it belongs firmly in the A tier as an above average one that new players can use to find their favorite ways, their favorite playstyles, their favorite builds to conquer the land between. Now, my name is Chef Soul, and we are going to be live streaming Beating Elden Ring every Monday through Saturday night through all 411 weapons in the game. Do you agree? Do you disagree of our assessment of where we're putting the Uchigatana? What would you change? What tier would you put it in? What builds do you run your Uchigatana in? Let us know. What weapon should we use for our next challenge run? Put it in the comments below. I always like hearing from you. And remember, we're live every Monday through Saturday over on the TikTok, over on the Twitch, same name on Twitch. And if you like these runs, you can check us out on the YouTube as well. Same name there, where you will see videos similar to this for every weapon in the game as we beat them, along with the full posted boss fights. So drop a follow for everything Elden Ring. And until next time, fellow Tarnished, stay maidenless. Rah!